We might as well just start off with Darren Waller. We've been talking about him the last 2 segments here. Absolute monster game. He was 6.1 on DraftKings, put up a nice 48 spot, 13 receptions for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on 17 targets. Joey, he was the 6th tight end in NFL history to have 200 yards in a single game. Just an absolute monster performance out of Darren Waller.
Yeah, and Darren Waller is, just one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He's definitely top 3, I think, in the NFL. I'd put him over Mark Andrews, to be honest.
No question.
I think it's Kelsey, Kittle. Waller is the unquestioned top 3 tight ends in the NFL right now. One of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL, obviously. And, that's just my boy.
A1 since day one.
If longtime listeners, if you're one of those listeners that has stuck around with us for over the years now, y'all would know that I touted Darren Waller in the offseason of the 2019 season, and I got laughed off the podcast. I got laughed off
by who? The
podcast by you.
Oh.
And Jared, just calling me an absolute bum for thinking that this dude was going to be anything. And, it's just a great feeling to be the tight end whisperer for fantasy football. So if you ever need tight end advice, just hit me up in my Twitter DMs or wherever. And, I'll give you advice on who's going to be the sleeper tight ends every single year.
God, I mean, you've been smashing. Honestly, I'll give it up to you. And yeah, Darren Waller, just a monster play. And this is, I guess, the thesis of, the play for the people who do pay up is because, Anthony Ferkser can get there in cash, right? He can get 10 points and get you there. That's a 4X. You're sailing in cash games. But in a tournament, he doesn't have that upside. There are only a few guys that do. And Darren Waller, just in terms of being able to separate from the position, there's Waller, there's Andrews, there's Kelsey. There used to be Kittle, but, without Kittle, with no Andrews on the slate, no Kelsey on the slate, Darren Waller had that potential, and he absolutely did. 48 points. Shout out to him. Monster performance.